Good afternoon. This is the Monday, September 23rd, 2024 version of the Municipal Facilities Optimization Committee. We have a quorum. This meeting is called to order. First on the agenda, we have the minutes from September 9th, 2024. Any questions or comments? There being none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of September 9th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted, 4-0. Next item, we have a bill to pay. We have Vertex Companies, $23,295 for
Motion to approve.
services rendered.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the bill for Vertex Companies, $23,295. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously, 4-0. Next, we have an update from Helene Carl Architects. Greg, you're up.
Great. Justin, you're driving?
Yes, I'll pull it up right now.
Over the last, since the last meeting, there's been some dialogues about the budget and other, program issues and everything that I've now reflected in the current plan. Vertex will be discussing in more detail all of the budget items. Sure.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. A lot of these slides should look familiar. Obviously, the existing site plan, I don't need to go into that much. You're familiar with that. Next slide. Again, this is just the existing building. What you will see is a slightly different footprint, and I'll get into that in a little more detail. Next slide, please. This is the new site plan. So based on the dialogues that we've had over the last, since the last meeting, we talked about budget and stuff. There were some concerns, so there was some value engineering that was done to modify and try to lower the cost of the budget. And so one of the big moves that we did was to move the office function that used to be out in this little green area onto the second floor, which had a significant impact in reducing the cost of the budget and everything. As far as the site plan goes, you'll see it's pretty much laid out the same as you've seen before. The recycling area, public parking, parking for water and sewer, and the parking around there. So that really hasn't changed that much. However, there was a development of this green space by taking the addition off and putting it over the second floor between the joint. Now, one of the items that we can talk about further as design goes on, if there's additional desire to reduce more paving on the project, we can work on that. For example, there was a suggestion that maybe we can reduce some of this green area by simply pulling this parking and everything up about 20 feet. Depending on how you want to use this area. So that could add some additional green space and limit some of the paving. But again, those are some of the details that we can get in further on once we get into the design. The other thing you'll see, because again, it's a line item below the budget, is there was a vehicle canopy in the back. But that's going to, again, I will let Vertex talk about that a little more. And then there was some further discussions on the recycling. There's some more program development. So basically what we've done is just simplified that area, and it's just the pave area. It can take all the program that was previously in there, but there's going to be further discussions and developments on that. Next slide, please. So the first floor plan is very similar in the blue areas, which is water and sewer. However, what we did do is you took about 3,000 square feet out of that. If you remember before on the previous vehicle parking, it was very similar to the highway with a drive-through and trucks pulling to either side. In this case, to be able to reduce some of the square footage and everything, now that's tandem parking, this still allows you flexibility to park some of the larger vehicles like the vac trucks and everything. And so that's just was a change to help kind of, reduce some of the cost on the overall project. As far as this area goes, it's essentially the same, but there have been some slight changes. You may remember that the break rooms were in the back. They are now in the front, so they get better natural lighting and everything. The restrooms, locker rooms are pretty much the same size. All the other program is essentially there except for the office function. And we were able to introduce the bunk room, which has always been a desire, and so that would be in the back here that we can now accommodate. The trucks are still back in a covered canopy and the brine tanks. Next slide, please. And then this orange area is basically now the administrative area that used to be sitting in front. We've now put it on the second floor. Essentially, what the biggest change on that is obviously putting on the second floor. It's just the introduction of an elevator. If you may remember in the previous scheme, there were already 2 stairways there to accommodate a meeting room up there. So again, I think from a programmatic standpoint, it has not impacted. All the program is still in there. And as I just said, on the first floor, we did pick up a bunk room and some probably better orientations of some of the rooms, like the break room on the first floor. Next slide. So what this is going to be is I'm just going to run you very quickly through a series of images. If you would like me to stop and talk about particular areas, please do so. The concept of having the continuation of the existing building is still there. Rather than the piece being on the first floor, it's now on the second floor. As you can see, the public and employee parking in the front, segregation of the operations area from the public, and then this development of this kind of green area. And just so I can tell everybody, all towns seem to have monuments and stuff they want to keep. So we just threw that in as a concept. Please don't think it's a permanent thing, but the idea is that you could develop that green area in other manners and stuff. Next slide, please. This is the elevation. You'll see that it has very much the same aesthetic as the other facility. One of the big differences is because this is on the second floor and the offices are now up to the perimeter of the second floor, we don't have those exterior walls. So we believe that this kind of clear story area is even more important, because what will happen is we're proposing introducing transom lights above the perimeter offices, so everybody will be still getting natural lighting and everything, or full vision panels, and we can work some of those details out. Next, please. This is just another approach towards the building from the parking. This is coming in from the side approach, and this would be the highway side of the building. Next, please. This would be if you're standing on the water or sewer side, and this would be their area for them parking. And again, we can reduce some of this area if if the town decides to reduce some of the paving and wants to get more green area. Next, please. This is the view coming in from where the existing water and sewer is. You'll see the orientation now is at the end condition for the trucks pulling out as opposed to coming out straight. Next, please. This is approaching, and you see the little curb island there. That used to be the composting wall. We're encouraging that some type of island go there while the recycling component is being further developed. But that will make sure that there's proper traffic guidance through that area, because if we just left it open, we feel strongly that there would be too many potential private vehicles, operational vehicles and stuff kind of running all over. So this way, we want to make sure that the path is clearly reinforced. Next slide. Again, this is just looking kind of from the composting area. One of the other ideas that had come up during the discussions was to delineate the public areas more from the operational areas. So you'll see there's an introduction of hedges there. This can also be reinforced with like a chain link fence where the shrubs grow into it. So it's not a chain link fence per se, but it does create a nice barrier to segregate the public areas from the operational areas. Next slide, please. This is a view from the fuel island. We have left an access road back here, and I don't really want to call it an access. It's really more of a curb cut to get to the back of recycling. Next, please. And we think this is an important feature on it because one of the discussions was talking to the highway manager and everything. He currently can sit out and look out his front window when he's in the office down there. In this case, he would be able to come here, and if you stand at this area here, he has full panoramic view of the operations for highway. And then if you go in the conference room on the other side, the same can be said for water and sewer. So if his office is up here, he simply needs to walk here and he can monitor what's ever happening in that area. And then I believe the last slide is just kind of the finished slide showing somebody walking towards the building. Are there any questions?
I noticed you show the clear story on 3 sides? 4
Yes.
sides?
It's well, you have the big windows in the front and then the
Right.
clear story on the other three sides.
But on one elevation, on the north elevation, you don't show any window on the rendering, so you may want to look at that and make sure it's there, because I
Could you
didn't see any.
Go back, okay.
Slide 6.
Slide 6. Okay, so, so the idea is that there's clear story up here, this is the north elevation, on the back, and then on that other side. So you're getting light from all four directions.
So there's no clear story?
Here's the clear story right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
so what this is this is the conference room, and these are those service rooms, that's the stair tower and stuff. So there's really no need for windows. And the other thing too is trying to coordinate this with the heights of the roofs and stuff. And again, this is subject to change, modifications. We may be able to lower the roof a little and everything. We just want to make sure that, at least in this initial concept, that we clearly made sure that the whole construction could go together, because the last thing you want is your building leaking or anything like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Not sure.
And again, we can explore this more, like maybe not so much on this side, but on the other side where you do have the offices. Again, finalizing that final roof height and stuff, we may be able to get some additional clear story windows in on the office. But if, you know, as a concept now, we just want to have a placeholder, but we feel confident with transoms above it on the interior side, full vision panels on doors, or however you want to do it, side lights, that all the individuals in that office area will be getting adequate light and sharing, and it'll feel, you know, bright and airy in there.
Okay.
Just a question, is there restrooms on the second floor?
There are, yeah. So if you go back, I think one slide. So these are the restrooms right here.
Okay.
And again, we can explore that more if you need more restrooms. The building has adequate restrooms because you obviously do the fixture count and everything. And based on the personnel that are anticipated up there, these 2 restrooms should be adequate. But again, if you feel strongly that we should introduce another fixture or 2, we can do that. The other thing too, you'll see that we have this kind of flex room right here. So it can, you know, serve as a private area for people to take phone calls. If it has to become a lactation room or something, there's plenty of flexibility in there, but we still meet all the office requirements, the records requirements, you know, the break room, copy room, so all those programs. So there's been some nice things that, you know, developed with this, because we have been able to pick up a little extra space because we're not doing quite as much circulation on it. or
I
other
just couldn't
functions.
pick them out on.
No, and I can appreciate it, probably looks like a little, you know,
Right.
So-
And the only other question is the median in the recycle area, is that just to break up the area?
If
'Cause
you
it-
go
is
to
or is
that next slide. Okay, what, no, one back, please. Okay, yeah, so the idea here is, and I'm gonna step away from the mic just a second. As vehicles and cars are coming through here, the idea is if we took that median out, there's a potential that they could be driving all over.
Okay.
So we just wanna make a clear path to say, this is the recycling area and that. How that gets developed later on, I've had some conversations with, it's still a work in progress, that program, so that's where we'll develop that in the next phase of the design.
Okay, looks good, thank you.
And Mike, to your point, one of the things that we've got out of the last few weeks is, you know, the recycling area before had the lower area with the wall for the dumpsters, so we pulled all that out, so it's essentially just going to be a flat area.
Wow.
And then we'll work with the trash and recycling coordinator, you know, to how that looks in the future.
That's wise.
You know, yep, just to
Do you
kind of
think-
simplify that a little bit.
Do we think that we're gonna get that much of public? That's a big parking lot. Do we think-
Well, so I think when you look at that, so there's staff, so there's staff and visitors. Like visitors, you know, you may have 5 or 6 spaces, but the majority of that will be staff that work in the
Staff.
bill.
Right,
We'll
so,
be working in the office area.
In the office area or the maintenance staff too.
And, all right, and the operators and everybody else will be in the back, or?
well, no, the intention in right now, and you guys can run the facility any way you want. This is about 68 parking spaces there. I think there's another 19 parking spaces there and 9 right here. So there's you know, all the critical vehicles are housed inside, under cover. There is a series of vehicles, like some of the pickup trucks and stuff, that will be parking outside. I'm anticipating that they will be probably parked closer to the facility or in that parking. So in this 68 parking spaces, and I'm going to just kind of use round numbers, you probably have about 30, and again, I use that loosely, 30 in both the water and sewer and the highway. So you already have about 60 people coming to the site, parking their private vehicles. Then you put in, as Keith has just mentioned, some visitors. And yes, I understand that some of them may park around the back and everything, and that's an operational thing. But what we've tried to do is, should you decide that only fleet vehicles are in the back, it should accommodate the entire staff.
Greg, I have a couple questions. Number one, to Mike's point, in the bathrooms, are those bathrooms, will they be able to accommodate the public as well?
Yes.
Okay, so there won't be any problems with that?
No. And again, we're anticipating if the public comes in and uses the facility, they're primarily going to go straight upstairs.
Right.
Could you go to the next, back to the, go back one more, please, if you don't mind? So right now, what would happen is the public would come into the vestibule. This area would be, if we can call it kind of the lobby, and I use that term loosely. They can either go up in the elevator or they can take the stairs up to the second floor. Next slide. Once they're on the second floor, they would be, again, in the kind of elevator stair lobby. That would be the waiting area. There'd be the reception there. If they were going to a meeting, let's say we're meeting with some of the staff right there, the staff could open this door from the lobby so that the public can go there. So what we tried to do is isolate all the office area and operations areas from. However, now, if someone's at a meeting or if somebody in the lobby says they need to use a restroom, they can be escorted right back there, use the restrooms, and then, continue on with their business there on the second floor.
Okay, and at the service area, if somebody's coming in for some reason, they have a question or whatever, there'll be somebody staffing that service desk? and-
If we go back one, again, we didn't get into personnel staffing and stuff.
No, I get that, but,
What I'm anticipating would happen is if the general public came here, there'd be adequate signage and everything in the lobby to say, if you need to meet with, recycling or something, it's on the second floor, either take the elevator or take the stairs. We would propose that there would be a key fob on this door so that the public could go no further
Right.
than the lobby and upstairs.
right.
So we're anticipating that there probably would not be staffing. If for some reason there's a program change, we could probably make arrangements for staffing. But I really don't see a need for staffing. It's no different than what I do now when I come to town hall. I read the sign that says go upstairs. So we're anticipating that similar type of process and operations would occur.
Okay. All right, good. And I guess my last question is, you were talking about creating more green space and closing down the hard surface,
Yeah, if you go to the,
lowering that.
Yeah,
What-
okay.
What does that do from a cost standpoint?
It'd save some money. But I think the real question, and again, I had this conversation in detail with Keith and Vertex and stuff. In the next phase, we need to talk further with water and sewer and stuff. Now that trucks are no longer coming out here, what I'm saying is we could move this back by 20 feet.
Right.
And so that there would only be parking on the one side. What that would also do is put a bigger buffer where the zone is. And essentially, it's that type of coordination and everything that we could work through. Because I think if you go back one and back to the site plan, I think there's one, right there. Basically, what we're saying is we'd take this piece and slide
Move it
it
up.
back about 20 feet.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
They vote at that sewer and water building now, right?
Yes.
Currently.
And the
currently
same
they do.
thing would happen if you go to the ground floor, I presume, in the conference room?
Well, that's a piece that we have to work with the town
Okay.
clerk on.
If you go to the next the thing,
And-
so
Right there.
yeah. So now what we have done in the past, and we did this when we did the Groton Senior Center, because the Groton Senior Center functions as a polling area as well. We could coordinate this with you, and these are little details. We've designated this area as storage, which it's intended to be storage, but we could either cut a door through there or you could guide them through. But we would anticipate that, and again, this is an operational coordination thing,
Right.
potentially you could open up that one of the break rooms or both of the break rooms to make it a clear polling booth. We could also introduce an exterior door here just for polling purposes. It wouldn't be used in regular time. Because at the Groton Senior Center, you come in the lobby, you go out the back door and back and around the building. So there's an in and an extra, because then, those are details that we could work out with the staff on how they would like to handle polling and everything. But I would see that this could be, very easily accommodate the polling function.
Because with that number of people in those two conference rooms, you're probably gonna need emergency exit anyways. You could turn that, as they do in other schools,
Yes.
into a place to have an entrance in for the polling.
Yes, so right now, it does meet egress requirements, because if you have over 50 people, you need two means of egress, that's what they are. This is intended to be a folding wall there, so that they can open that up and have an all's hands on. But yes, you're absolutely right, whether we put a door there, whether we put a door here, we
That's
can
in-
work with you. It's a detail we'll work through with the staff.
Okay.
That actually seems like a reasonable solution, because we have two precincts that vote at the water and sewer right now.
Right.
So you put one on each, you could put one in each room if we just added that one door. They have their own entrance and exit.
Mhm.
So that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah,
Something
I voted at the Spring Street School, and it has one door, and you walk in, and there's 7 and there's 8, and then you proceed down and proceed around.
Yeah.
It works. That would work great right there.
Yeah. Very good. Anybody have any other questions?
I just had one question on the borings, on the boring log.
Yes.
I assume that the elevations, I didn't see the note on where the elevation was, that, were all the borings taken from the same elevation?
They were all basically the same
It's a
depth.
flat site, I get
Yeah.
it, but we're,
Yeah, so what basically happened is, like, the first 3 borings that they took, they were all pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And as they went to the 4th and 5th boring, they stopped a little shorter because they were getting the exact same readings
Okay.
that they were getting on the previous thing. The good news is the water table's down about 6 to 7 feet, so we don't have an issue there. There will be some excavation of the first 4 feet, and then, structural filter will have to be put in where this addition component goes. But from all, readings of this, you've got good soils there.
yeah, I was just concerned about the water being, we found it at 5 and 1, I think boring number 2. And just wanted to make sure that the starting point where we
Right.
drilled were consistent.
Yeah, so, but yeah, we're getting and obviously, we only have to go down 4 feet now for standard spread
right.
footings. The geotech's comfortable with that. So there should be no water table issues, there should really be no soils issues. And unless, when they start excavation, they find something unusual, we feel pretty comfortable about where the borings are, that you've got a good site here.
Is that 4 feet to the top of footing or to the bottom of footing?
Bottom of footing, below
And
grade.
how, with a 1 foot footing or?
Well, again, we'll probably end up, and I forget exactly what the geotech said, but it'll probably be like a 4-foot wide footing
Yeah.
at the bottom, 1 foot thick.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
bring up 3 feet of frost wall on it.
Yeah.
And then we'll be in
3-footer.
good shape.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Not for
Thank
me.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Greg. All right, so I have on the next item, I have review and act to recommend project design to the select board. Are we gonna do that first, Keith, or are we gonna talk about the budget?
You can do it either way you like it. We can do it.
I'd kinda like to talk about the budget
Yeah, we
first,
can
and then
talk about the
take
budget.
both at the same time.
Sure.
If that's all right with everybody.
Works
Fine
fine.
by me.
Steve,
Yes,
you're up for the budget, correct?
yes, having the whole budget there, it is exactly what was distributed, oh, perfect. So we've been hard at work at this, and we've had a couple of meetings where we said we're reviewing the budget and working on that to then be where we are tonight to be able to present this. So initially, the budget came in that was along with the plan and the program higher than this. This number's at 26.8. If you can't see that, this is exactly what was distributed, so I know you've all been able to look at this in detail. So with that coming in higher, the project team embarked on the effort to create a list of items, value engineering items, from which we can select from the list of what we should incorporate and what we shouldn't incorporate. So the key here is to keep the program intact. And, our task here collectively is to create the program, and Greg and his staff did yeoman's work with interviews and meetings and such to do that. And that establishes what the project need is. So that was done, and that has been incorporated in this budget. It goes along with that program. Really the only item that isn't as we have discussed before, was that recycling area, and Greg did a great job here tonight describing what that area on the previous rendition showed versus what it shows now. It's a paved area now for a future development of something. I know there's lots of good conversation about what might go into planning and funding something further there. So again, the key is the program work was done, and the program is included in the project number that we have here, this 26,824. It's quite an exact number, but that's what happens when you pull from lots of numbers and sources for all of the different categories. So this includes, as you can see, the construction cost. It has the owner's contingency, which is 5% of that construction cost. All the soft costs are then listed below that. Utility company back charges, we'll see what that ends up being. Testing services that happen throughout the construction of the project, whether that be soil compaction testing. There's a more than a handful of different tests that are required by the code. Moving costs, budget, geotech during construction, budget, you can see the list here. Survey, abatement, we do have good numbers and feedback on the abatement from the abatement consultant who went through everything on the project, so that's a pretty good number there. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment, $200,000. That's all the desks and chairs and such that are needed, a budget for that. And same for IT, whatever the needs might be for that, which we are comfortable with everything provided here collectively as the project team, bringing those numbers forward. Those numbers didn't, they were adjusted and tweaked a bit, but not a lot. Really, the construction number with the main change was moving that office space and the whole construction of that addition, if you will, and putting that to be within the building was the really the significant change. And the other significant change was just working that water sewer space a bit differently, maintaining program, but working that space a bit differently and having the area be reduced as Greg took us through. So again, the idea is with the plan itself, it's a concept plan. The plan then goes into the continued design and development. Would have a project estimate along that way as well to make sure that design as it evolves, again, stays with the budget, with this budget recommendation, and that's the key. Just like a lot of projects and how they're done is you generate what that concept plan is, what the program is, and the budget, and then the program and the budget are what rules. Then you create that design to make sure it stays within those things and do whatever adjusting has to be done to that design to make sure it stays within that budget and achieves that program. So that's basically the description of the budget. It came in higher. We've been at work to bring it into where it is today with the team effort. Are there any questions there? You've seen a good presentation tonight that shows really where we were before and the adjustments that have made and where we landed now. That's the presentation of the budget. Any questions? You guys typically have fabulous questions, so.
Does the board have any say on when it comes to project estimate time as to what stays and what goes, or how does that work?
I would suggest that we're part of the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
When it comes to value engineering, this board is going to be the yay or the nay on what's to cut.
It's just hard to decipher with a lump sum.
Of course, and it is, and that's the reality of the feasibility and conceptual design piece, right? As we get into full design, we have, we're going to get updates that are probably in a detail that you may or may not want to go to. It might get pretty deep, and it does, and I think Pat can attest to that with the police department. So.
This covers the tweaks that we were talking about, maybe in the recycling area,
Yeah.
holds that all in one bucket,
Yep.
and then we
Yep.
develop, okay.
Yeah, and
good.
between Vertex and HKA, there's been some significant work in the past
Yeah,
2
Well, I'm
weeks,
good.
really trying to, they started with a list of items to pull, and then Greg and his team went further to adjust the design to make those other cuts, and but again, with the goal to keep the program, because that was part of this process, was the feasibility study and the programming was, really to make sure that DPW has the, this building fills their needs.
Sure.
I like what was done.
In a short period of time, also,
Yeah.
Yeah, very short period of
very
time.
short period of time.
Steve, I guess my question is, see a number up there of 26,000,008. We're doing this project under Chapter 149A, Construction Manager at Risk. Would that be, that 26,800, if this is what we're going forward with, would that be the guaranteed maximum price?
Yes, though, the guarantee maximum price would not include the soft costs. So the number above that, actually, and I didn't list it on this sheet, but the math is, the number above that is the 23 million, I mean, it's an exact number, 433,195 is the full-on construction number. And so the guarantee maximum price would be based on that number.
Okay, and that's the fee for, that would be, that difference, I'm assuming would be the fee for the construction manager?
The contingency, right?
No, the guarantee maximum price would be within, the fee for the construction manager would be within the guarantee maximum price. It's the other items, the soft cost items that are not in the the guarantee maximum price, the
So in other words,
GMP.
that list below.
Yes.
Yes, so,
Right, that part could vary, but I guess, okay, so I guess under construction costs, then, does that include the fee for the construction manager?
Yes.
And their contingency?
Yes, and there are a couple of contingencies. The CM will have a contingency within the guarantee maximum price.
Yep.
And the owner's contingency, as listed
Yes.
here, is separate from that. So yes.
That part I get, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right, cool.
So my understanding is that the top number, the very top line, would be the GMA for the
Yes.
construction company,
Manager, yes,
right?
yes.
We have our contingency within his number, okay.
So when we put this out to bid then, assuming this goes out to bid, the construction cost would not go above the 22,300,000. And everything else could vary, hopefully down, but possibly up.
Yes,
Okay, very good.
and managed, and,
Yeah.
decisions by you,
Yeah, we can do that.
yes.
and Pat, I think we'd be clear too that, to the residents, that those numbers would not go up.
Right.
They would only go down.
Right, of
They're
course, yeah.
Like that bottom number, 26,824, 24, that's the number.
I think if anybody has watched any of these meetings before, they know it's not going to go up.
I mean, that's the whole point of this process, is to
Right,
make sure
right.
that we don't exceed that.
Okay, good.
And Mike, to address one of your, and the committee's concerns, like, if there are other things that you would like on the list that have to be pulled out, we would recommend the strategy of carrying them as unit prices, because under the statute, you can award a unit price anytime during the construction. And for example, we did that at the Hudson DPW, where the base bid came in, it's pretty much on budget, but because we got out of the soils with no extra cost, they had a little extra contingency, so then they would be able to buy their vehicle canopy, and now they may have a little extra money so they can buy their fuel island. So there are strategies that we will work with Keith in the CM at risk.
Right.
So that we could put unit prices in, so you could potentially get things that may not be on the bottom line now, but depending on how well the construction goes and stuff, if the committee decides to move
Right,
forward with
right.
something
So
else.
you would know as you go. So
We
that's
would know as
Yeah.
you go, yes.
Correct, yeah.
And we certainly did that with the police department.
The only reason I asked, Steve, and it was not to put you on the spot, but when I came on board for the police station, the construction manager was already in place, the guaranteed maximum price was already in place. I was not part of how that number was set, so I just wanted to make sure that I understood what the number was and what we were voting on.
Oh, put me on the spot. It's a very
Okay.
good question.
All right.
Yeah, important to understand, have
Okay.
everyone understand that.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Item number 5, review, which we've done, and act to recommend project design to the select board. Is everybody comfortable with the design plan to this point? And do you feel like you're ready to bring it to the select board?
Everyone else is, I am.
Everybody good with that? Okay,
Yes.
do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the design to go to the select board for approval.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to recommend the current project design as presented tonight to go to the select board for their consideration. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously, 4-0. And item number 6, review and act, which we've already reviewed, act to recommend a project budget to the select board. Everybody comfortable with the number as discussed?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the budget? The select board?
Okay,
The 26,8, which I can't read that far away.
26,824,066.
Pretty precise.
do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend the project budget of $26,824,066 to the Select Board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Item number 7. Thank you, everybody. That was a bellwether moment.
And thank you, everybody, for all the work you've put in.
Yes, in a very short time.
I mean, this.
A lot of work
Been a
and,
busy 2 months.
yes, and well done. Item number 7, review and discuss outreach opportunities. Where are we with that
Sure.
point?
So, Justin, I mean, you can take over too, but, so we reached out to, so we have another, yard waste drop-off on Saturday. Justin reached out to the DPW leadership to find staffing for that, because it does conflict with Spirit of Shrewsbury, which the town has 5 booths at, by the way, so, they were able to accommodate us, and they'll have a team there, to do a tour very similar to what we did the last time, on Saturday. So
Okay.
if people want to come in and look, that's from 8 to 11:30, Justin, correct?
7:30 to 11:30.
7:30 to 11:30 on Saturday, the 28th.
Excellent. So I can be at that for a while.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I guess my other question around that is with the Spirit of Shrewsbury, is there an opportunity to have an information table at the Spirit of Shrewsbury?
So we have a townwide table there, I believe, so we could probably put some information
Yeah.
on the table, right?
Handouts, yeah.
And-
Even if it's just the letter, or,
Yep. Or, so,
if we had some, I don't know if we can, well, I guess that would depend on what happens tomorrow, but if we had an approved project going forward, could we put like the conceptual
Drawings.
design,
yeah,
show what the
Yeah,
program is
sure.
gonna look like and what the opportunities are? Because that would include all the recycling and all the nice parts that the public would be interested in.
yeah, so we have a project documents sort of subpage on the Municipal Facilities Committee's webpage on the town website. Once, after tomorrow evening, if the board votes favorably to put this forward, we can include those items on that webpage. We can have handouts that have QR codes so people can scan it, go view the project documents. Can include also a video to, QR code rather, to the video of the tour that was done. So,
That'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah,
we can
excellent,
work on that.
excellent. Why do I feel like I'm always adding more work to your docket? But,
That's what I'm here for.
and I will certainly stop by that table for a while on the 29th as well, in case people have questions. We can talk about it. All right, meeting date. We are going to the Board of Selectmen tomorrow.
Tomorrow evening,
Correct?
yep.
Now, I'm assuming, does everybody show for does the whole committee show for that? Or is it,
If you're available, it's listed as a joint committee meeting, so you will have to open the.
that's
open
7 PM?
7 PM, so
7
when we're
PM.
on the docket, you'll have to open the meeting, open MFOC meeting.
And have we posted that as a joint meeting, so we're covered there?
Yep. So when I posted the select board agenda, I posted it as an item indicating it's a joint meeting, so you'd be covered for
Okay.
open meeting law purposes.
All right, cool. And, excellent. And what about after that? What are we thinking?
So, two things that I'd like to talk about here. So we think meeting in 2 weeks would be good because we have bills to approve. Or we will have bills to approve then. The other question is, would this group be available to meet on Wednesdays going forward instead of Mondays?
It's fine with me.
I know one member's not here, so we could check with her also, but
I'm sorry, I missed the change
meet on Wednesdays instead of
That's
Mondays.
okay. For me.
So then we're looking at October
Ninth?
9th?
Ninth.
Yes.
And then that may line up for a meeting a month after that, prior to town meeting.
Okay. You think we may be monthly probably after town meeting, we'll be in
Monthly mode.
monthly mode for a
Yeah.
while.
Yep.
anyway.
So I think, yep, but we can decide after that 9th meeting, the meeting on the 9th, we can decide if we want to wait another 4 weeks.
I'm assuming once assuming everything gets approved and we get to groundbreaking, we
Mhm.
may be more frequently than monthly at that point.
I'm not sure. I think once we get, if we get approval at town meeting, I think we have to revisit that and work with Vertex and the designer to determine what that rate of meetings will be.
That will be a good problem to have.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So, all right, so we've got September 24th, October 9th, everybody good with that? Okay. And then to be determined after that.
Right.
Okay,
Excuse me, Keith, town meeting is on what day?
November 18th.
Okay.
all right, that brings us to item number 9, other business. Anybody have anything? I do not. Anybody else?
Nope.
All right, very good. Item number 10, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So voted unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Well done.